so I'll start
Very
do the
good.
announcements. So good afternoon, evening, something like that, right? Evening, afternoon, I don't know.
Somewhere around that time.
Yeah. So thank you very much for attending. We're going to do a talk tonight that we've never done before, right?
Yeah.
We'll find out how it works, right? So the idea is that we want to talk about privacy in kids' apps. And I don't know how many of you have kids, but I'm sure you've noticed I do. At least one, right? The other one's in the back. Playing on her iPad on the apps we're going to talk about tonight.
Like that.
So Brenna and I started talking about it, and we started discussing what it meant when you were playing these apps and what happened. And Brenna wasn't real sure, and her friends...
Jenna, Jaden, and Jacob
Right.
came over, and we set my iPad to look on what was happening.
Yep.
And
It freaked them out, right?
it freaked us all out of what information was coming through.
Which was pretty much my goal. My job as a dad is to scare my kids as much as possible.
Yeah, what about my friend?
Well, your friends too, that's okay, right? So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We named the talk, Crayons didn't upload my pictures to the internet, mainly because when I was a kid, I don't know about you guys, when I was a kid, I had crayons, and they were
Crayons,
fun.
yeah.
And I could draw
Real
things,
fun.
whatever, real fun, right? And my kids have crayons too, yet my youngest is in the back with an iPad right now playing an app. Right, she's probably connected to Facebook and talking to all kinds of different weird people, and you
No,
guys.
I don't think she is.
Yeah, no, she's not.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah.
So if you could flip to the next slide, that'd be great. Okay, so who am I? I'm Kevin Johnson. I'm the CEO of Secure Ideas. Thank you for the laser pointer. And I am the founder of the company. I'm one of the primary consultants. We are a pen testing firm. We do lots of cool things, attacking people. I will warn you that it does affect my perspective, right? So when I say something like, hey, the test is going really, really great, and the customer says, does that mean we're secure? My answer is, oh, no. Right? No, it's going great for me. Right? So we giggle a lot at my house. Right? So we're also a course author, instructor. I teach here at SANS. I wrote the web pen testing course, the advanced web pen testing course, and the initial mobile security course. Podcaster, we've got the Professional Evil Perspective, and I am an open source fanatic. Right? I currently run either 12, 13, or 14 open source projects. That is a sign of a need for an intervention when you don't remember the number of open source projects you run. I do want to throw out there a plug for Samurai WTF. Next month is the 5th anniversary of the project, so we're doing a contest. We've actually bought a replica wearable Samurai helmet. And if you generate a document or a video that explains the coolest thing you've done with Samurai, and you're the winner, you get the helmet, right? So we're August 10th, which is the 5th anniversary, the actual anniversary of the first release, will be the deadline. And at DerbyCon later on this year, we'll be giving out the helmet. You don't have to be at DerbyCon to get it, but that's where we're going to make the announcement. This is a carryover from the first anniversary. We bought Samurai swords, and we shipped them to all the project members, right? As a surprise. Just learn from my experience, if you're going to ship swords randomly around the country, warn people. Because one of the project members got it, he was out of town, his wife got this box, it's odd shaped as I'm sure you can imagine, and she said, hey, do you want me to open this and find out what it is? And he's like, oh yeah. So she opened it, pulled out this full-size sword, and says, is this a death threat of some type? No, I'm not real clear what kind of death threat that would be, but we'll go with it, right? So warn people. But that's what we're doing. I just wanted to punch that out there.
Wait, I think I know.
You think you know?
Yes, it's like they send a sword. It means if you don't do this, I will stab you.
They'll stab you.
Just sending the sword over there so they can get in the house.
That might be. So if you want to flip to the next slide and
Yeah.
introduce who you are.
Okay, my name is Brenna Johnson, and I am the hacker princess. This is my first time presenting.
Yes.
As my dad wrote, I'm world famous.
I talk about her in every single one of my classes. Right, so world famous. I think that works.
And I'm a big sister to my little sister standing all the way back in the back of the room with the little headphones on.
She was upset that she didn't get to present tonight. So we told her we would put her in the talk. Right? Okay, so
Okay.
do you want to flip to the next one?
Yes.
Okay. So this, and you'll notice, this is what happens when you Dremel out a crayon to attach a cable to it, right?
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
So we're going to start talking tonight about mobile apps. So if we can just flip. So mobile devices have come a long way. I'm sure everybody has one of these in their pocket of some form or another, right? I get a kick out of the fact we call them smartphones, right? I'm not real
They're
sure
iPhones,
why. Yeah,
or
iPhones,
iPhones.
Androids,
Yeah,
whatever,
something
right?
like
This is way different than that. How many people had one of those? Yeah.
Not me.
Set. Not you.
Never me. Never me.
Yeah, Brenda's never had one. She's never seen one. I'm
Until
thinking
this
about getting
picture.
her one because she keeps asking for a cell phone, right? But at 11, I've decided she's not ready yet, right? And these things have become critical at what we do. And when we talk about us, adults, we all have them, we all use them and everything else. But how many kids are playing with them? How many of you who have children go home and your kid's first thing is to grab your iPhone or your Android device or your iPad, right? Yeah, exactly. My kids know how to unlock mine better than I do, right? And I messed with them just recently because I upgraded it to iOS 7 and it's just different
I
enough.
still know how to unlock it.
I know.
Swipe this way and it unlocks it. There.
So let's flip to the next one.
Okay.
And what we're seeing is lots of privacy concerns, lots of security issues. And when we talk about things like this app up here, which is a medical app designed for nurses and doctors to carry on their rounds, right? And to put information in like allergies and diseases that you're being treated for and the treatments and everything else like that. By the way, this app doesn't require a passcode to get into, does not encrypt the data, uploads it to a server via HTTP, and uses a GET request to send all of that up. So it's being logged in any proxy servers or any other web servers that you're getting to. It's a very secure app.
Yeah. That's so true.
The people who use it have to comply with the HIPAA regulations, but the developer who I wrote to about the security problems, because this was just me analyzing the app in my spare time because I was bored, the developer didn't understand why he should care about HIPAA because he wasn't placing the medical data in the app, was his argument. Now, I personally think that was idiotic, but I won't speak on that, right?
Yeah.
So we
Exactly.
see this lots of times. We see lack of security controls, right? Like, Brenna, do you have a passcode on your iPad?
Yeah. No, not on my iPad, my phone.
See? So on half of her devices, she has a security control. And I will tell you, the data she has is very sensitive. The My Little Pony farm, critical to protect. Right? Did you
I
notice she
don't play
didn't
that.
deny it?
No, I don't play that anymore. I play Heyday now.
Oh,
Heyday or Dragon
yes.
City. Those are the two only.
Heyday and Dragon City, which we'll talk about in a
Very
minute.
addicting.
Yes, flip to the
Fun.
next one. Right? So privacy, right?
In a mobile.
Oh, jeez. Just so you know, my daughter is a little strange. She is related to me.
Yeah.
Right?
It's all him.
It is all me. So privacy is a big deal, right? How many people here are worried about their own privacy? You know, I know I
Basically
am.
a lot of you.
Yeah,
Yes. Everybody here is probably really.
they should be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the problem is that mobile apps are designed to break that privacy. I know it's not what they want you to advertise and stuff like that, but as we look at it, the fact of the matter is, the way those apps run is by doing advertising, taking data, and sharing it out to the internet, right? And we see things, and we see the Federal Trade Commission is going after apps that abuse kids' information, apps that target kids under 13, right? The in-app purchases problems are going on, and privacy is becoming more complex because of the nature of our devices. And this doesn't even get into, which really doesn't affect kids, but BYOD and corporate data mixing on phones. But it is causing problems. But I will throw out there, how many here support BYOD at their organization? Right? So you bring your own device. How many of you have BYOD devices, have kids, and let the kids play with the phone? Right? I'll go back to, how many of those BYOD things have Heyday,
Dragon City,
My Little Pony,
a
and
lot of those games.
right, running on the phone because the kids are playing with them. And let's be honest, so are we, right? I don't know about you,
said
but the
distance
snail
running.
running around the racetrack is a
And
fun
My Little
game.
Pony, definitely for him.
My Little Pony.
He's addicted to it like I was.
So
You
if we
play it
could
every
flip.
chance you get.
So one of the things to remember is that privacy is your responsibility. We hear a lot of cop-outs about the apps have to protect us, right? It's the app's fault. Heck, we'll say something that's not quite appropriate right now because my daughter is standing next to me, but what about the guy who just sued Apple because the Apple devices didn't stop him from visiting inappropriate materials, as they should have, right? And he's suing. Now, you can sue for anything you want, right? But that's the lawsuit that's going through right now. And the reality is we're responsible for this. Let me ask another question. Out of all the people here who have smartphones and iPads and tablets and whatever, how many of you have set up the device to capture the traffic leaving the device to see what is leaking out of it? Right? You have. You did the other day, right? How many else? So we have 2, 3 people in a room this size, 4 people. Oh, you don't count, you're British. But so we have 4 people out of this room that have captured the traffic. So we'll show you tonight how to do that, right? Yeah. So you want to talk about what we're going to talk about now?
Now we're going to talk about kids and the applications they play.
Okay. Oh, I want to do this one? Okay.
No.
Kid.
I want you to talk first, and then I'll say
Okay, good. So kids are running apps constantly. We see this type of picture all the time. Adorable, but the reality is they're playing games. They're on
So
the phones
cute.
and everything else. So cute,
So cute.
right? So apps like,
Movie Star Planet, Heyday.
right?
Who here has ever heard, plays, or lets their kids play Movie Star Planet?
You guys heard of Movie Star Planet? It's a chat application for
Where you
children. I'm sorry? Oh, I thought I heard a question. It's a chat application for kids.
We checked it, and we searched somebody up, and it told us the information about that person that we looked up. Their age, their name, their birthday.
Their email address.
Yeah, basically a lot of stuff like that that you don't want your kids to be known.
Right, and
for.
this app is targeting kids under 13. Now, they don't say that, right? Because if they say we're trying to get kids under 13, they fall under other federal guidelines and laws about how they have to protect the data. So they say this app is for teenagers and above, but if you look at the application, you're a star, you're famous, you're chatting with people, there's prizes for chatting and connecting with more people. And when you look at it, as Brenna was just saying, the traffic coming back from the server to the application doesn't display in the app their age, their sex, their birthday, their email address, but the traffic coming back from the server contains it, right? And as we all know, as security people and nerds that show up at a SANS conference, any of that type of traffic can be captured, which means that I have all those kids' email addresses without even worrying about whether or not that character in the game connects with me, right? When we were testing it, we searched a random group of people that we weren't connected to, right?
Luckily, my friend Jenna was there now. She's probably telling her friends about how unsafe Movie Star Planet is.
Yeah.
So now more people are deleting it and not playing it, which is really good.
Yeah.
Because all the stuff we got out of that.
And I do want to be clear, and I want to state this for the record, we did not attack any applications. As we'll talk about later tonight when we show some of the results, we found security holes without fuzzing the app or anything else like this. This was solely passively monitoring the traffic to and from the phone and the tablet. I want to say that because, of course, if we had crossed the line and attacked something, we'd be in violation of the law because we don't have contracts with these applications. And my attorney, and I'm not an attorney, I want to make that clear, only 2 of my Facebook accounts pretend to be. My attorney has told me that capturing traffic to and from my own device is 100% legal. I recommend that if you're going to do this, that you discuss it with your own attorney, right? My recommendation is Dave Hodis. He's amazing, but I'm biased, right? And talk to them about this before you do it. But our understanding is what we did is not in any way crossing a line. okay? Just to be clear. So we see lots of ways that these apps make money. Some of them, they cost, right? It's $1 to buy the app. How many people look at an app and if it's more than $1, think to themselves, man, that's so much, that's ridiculous, right? Yeah. So how many of you that had your hand up, and I know you're one of these people,
I know.
have an Xbox, a Wii, a PS4, PS3, not PS4 yet, but a PS3, right? How much do you pay for a game on the PS3 or whatever console you have?
Games are about $60 a piece.
60 bucks. Do you complain about that? No. But the $2 app on your iPhone is just way too much, right? And I just want to point that out, right? Like, it's a weird financial market there.
Well, true. It's just a small little game that you're gonna play for only.
That is a valid point. It's a small little game that you're going to play,
Not
right?
like a huge, gigantic game that's like really addicting to do it and stuff like that.
She's backing you up, man. See that? She's defending you. So the initial cost is one way they make the money, but the reality is that initial cost doesn't come anywhere close to covering the cost of developing that app. It doesn't come anywhere close to covering the cost of marketing that app. And so what we see are in-app purchases, or IAP, right? And ads. And I do want to be very clear that many of the ads we're talking about actually never display to the user. Many of the connections to advertiser systems are to send analytics data, right? So if you're looking at the app, many of the apps we looked at didn't display a single ad to the screen, right? Right. But they were connecting to ad servers. Does that make sense? So that's one of the problems, right? So you want to flip to the next slide?
Oh my gosh.
So what was this that we were looking at here?
Dragon City and how much you have to pay just to get gems.
And what is Dragon City?
Dragon City is this game where you take care of your own dragons and you buy stuff with like gems to speed up the dragon eggs, and you buy stuff with the money. And right here what we're seeing is that you have to buy gems for like 1,700 gems for $100.
To be clear,
Yeah.
the gems are an in-game currency. So if you want to buy stuff in the game, you have to have gems. And you get them very, 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 very,
Expensive?
very slowly.
Oh,
Right.
sorry.
Yeah, but they are
I thought
expensive
were
if you
about
buy
to say
them.
expensive.
No, but they are expensive. The
Yeah, they are.
dragons, what was the price of that big mirror dragon? Wasn't it like 25,000 gems?
Yeah, I think it was somewhere around that price for that dragon. But what I like is you can breed the dragons just to get that one dragon.
Right.
That's what's cool.
Right, so you can play the game without buying anything.
That's
but
pretty good.
do the math. 1,700 gems. Let's round up just to be fair and say 2,000 gems. We're $100, right? One dragon, 25,000 gems, right? So if your child bought the gems, right? How many of you have the Google Play app or the iTunes app with your credit card saved in that application? Yeah, don't do that, right? My recommendation is buy gift cards and put the gift card values in. So at
Which is what
worst, you're
this
going to
man
lose
did.
that.
That's what this man does right
Yeah.
there, standing right there.
I buy gift cards. I buy them at BJ's, Costco, Sam's, because you get a
lot.
discount, because I'm cheap, right? I'll admit it.
Until it comes to computers.
That's a good point. You're right.
Yeah, I know
She's always
you.
telling on me. Did you notice that?
I don't have to worry about anybody else using my phone yet, though.
Nobody said anything about your phone. If I get access to your account, your credit card's assigned to it, right?
Dun, dun,
So
dun.
this is how they make a lot of their extra money. They're selling you things. Now in this game we show gems. In other games you could buy costumes for the characters. You
Yeah.
could buy different faces, right?
Well, that didn't really cost gems or anything like that, but you could still buy money. Like, they had like special little diamonds that you could buy because you're supposed to be a movie star in Movie Star Planet, and you would have to buy them for a lot of money and then waste it all. So
Right.
you buy that, spend a lot of money, and then your kid wastes it. So. Or you
Yeah.
guys waste it. It just
Depends on who plays it, right?
Yes, it depends on who plays it.
And the games are very pushy at doing this. They're constantly pushing up ads about the in-game currency.
I hate those ads. It's like I'm playing in the middle and then all of a sudden an ad pops up. I hate that.
Yeah.
Drives me crazy.
They'll run specials. Today, the 1,700 gems is only $98
Or
instead of $99. Right?
like,
Or
like sometimes in Heyday, it's like, well, you can get saws and and stuff to take down trees and rocks for this much money, like
yeah.
10 gems and then you had to go buy, and then let me rephrase that. People will go buy those gems and then spend them, so it's like a waste of money.
To be clear, because I had trouble when Brenna first started telling me about Heyday, to me it was hey, H-E-Y, like, hey, how you doing? Because I was on Skype, because I travel a lot, and stuff like that. And then finally she showed it to me. It's a farm. So basically, my daughter is playing chores on an iPad. I just want to point out that I can't get her to clean her room.
No, you can get me to clean my room. There's no problem with me cleaning my room. But the only reason why people like that is because you get to take care of your own animals. You get to grow and expand your farm, and it's really fun.
Right.
So fun.
So let's
You should get it. I think you should get it.
I know you should. See, look at this. Already pushing the app onto me. The next thing we see are ads, right? And these are the most obvious one that people complain about, right? Yeah. What's that, Brenna?
To get that dragon for free, you have to log into Facebook.
Yeah. So right on the title screen, it's pushing an ad for an item that requires what we'll talk about next, social aspects to these games.
My God.
And then what game did these two ads come from?
Those two came from
Wasn't that the snail one?
Turbo.
Yep.
Because you.
Oh yeah, I'll admit it. I like running that snail around the racetrack. I'll admit that. But I want to point out that contrary to the 40-year-old playing the games, right? My 7-year-old likes the Turbo game also,
I love the Turbo game.
and my 11-year-old. And the ads are for War of Nations. Some of the ads, which I didn't take screenshots of, have, let's just say, very revealing outfits on the characters that they're displaying and pushing out there.
my gosh.
And I'm not a prude, but when it comes to my kids, I am, I guess. Right?
You should have seen what I saw for one of the ads. It was
See-
crazy. It was like, girl, just all the way stripped down. It was crazy. Like, nothing really showing, but it was like she just had like a really skinny top on it.
See?
It was just really gross.
This is what we're pushing the kids. Yes, sir.
Is there a parental rating on any of these apps?
No.
No.
These are for all ages, right?
And
Yeah.
kids will actually go get those.
Yeah. The Turbo game is from, what's the name of the company that's got the kid on the moon fishing? DreamWorks, thank you. That's who
I
makes
like
that app.
That's a fun.
It is a fun app, right?
No, not the app. I mean the
Kid on
shows
the
that they
Moon.
do.
Yeah.
They're fun shows.
So we push advertising. And one of the things to point out is that these games advertise other games. The kid will download, install, and now that game starts to advertise. And what the advertisers are doing are building information about the user of the device, right? We know that. We've all heard about how the family was notified that the 14-year-old kid was pregnant because Target sent an ad, right? And I don't know if that story is true, but we heard it on the internet, so it must be, right? Because I edit Wikipedia just as easily as anybody else does.
I don't look up with Wikipedia. I try to.
Don't, it's not worth it.
I try to. I looked up Wikipedia once, and I never go back now. I don't like it.
So
I
they're
don't know
building
why.
up this stuff about these kids and what apps they're playing. And oh, by the way, when you look at things like Movie Star Planet, the chat messages they're talking back and forth are being sent to advertisers, right? So
Well, I
the
didn't know
ads,
that.
yeah, that was
When I
part
was
of what.
looking at it.
Yeah, remember?
It just didn't say that. Sorry.
Yeah, it was crazy. So let's
Yeah,
pick
it
to
was
the next.
crazy.
Let's pick.
Next one.
No, I want to point out the fact my daughter's 11, right?
Yes,
Brenna is
very
11.
11, very
She does
11.
not have a Facebook account.
No, Facebook.
And I'd like to say that I know of because she does not have a Facebook account. But the games keep pushing her to connect to Facebook, connect to Twitter, beg your friends to get into this, right? Yeah, get 10 gems, right? So if you think back to it, 10 gems were less than $1. That's what your Facebook account's worth. Yeah. So,
my-
yes, sir.
Brenna, how many friends do you have that have Facebook accounts?
I know one, her name is Emily, and she made this really funny post that they caught a raccoon, and she said, if you get on my bad side, I'll set the raccoon in your house. Just joking around with everybody on
So
Facebook.
she has one friend that she knows of.
Yes.
But I will also
but
point
I know
out.
most of my, I have a lot of friends, so I can't really keep track of who my friends are on Facebook and stuff like that. You can't keep track.
Do you know of kids that are younger than you that have Facebook accounts now?
Yes. I think I know a kid that I met, and he said he had Facebook, and he was like 8, 9, somewhere really. He was pretty young.
I would like to
So-
point out, and I'm sure you're getting to it, is that Facebook doesn't allow you to sign up for an account until you're 13.
Yes. Oh yeah, I remember.
Son that's 8, and they're being fired up. And I'm looking at the perspective of even peer pressure that
I
experience as more kids get along.
Yep.
If it's 1 or 2, then as they're younger, are you finding peer pressure from other kids to get online and that kind of stuff?
Are your friends trying to make you get onto Facebook?
no.
Okay.
I know
She has
another
good
girl.
friends. No, no.
I know another girl that I used to go to Heart with that she was, I think like, yeah, she was like 9 and she had a Facebook account.
Yeah.
I think I have like 3 friends that are.
Don't say her name because I'm about to say something about that.
Okay.
Okay. The girl she's talking about that was at a Heart to Heart is a church group for young girls, preteens, stuff like that. And she was 9. She had a Facebook account. I found her Facebook account because I'm friends with the children's minister in the church. He was connected to her, right? And so Facebook suggested her to me, and I looked at it, and she had tons and tons of pictures, tons and tons of information about school and where she lives and all this kind of stuff. And we weren't even friends, and I could see it. So
That's pretty
we actually had
bad.
to reach out to her parents and say, we're not saying your child is doing anything wrong,
Oh, yeah,
but
I
we're
remember
saying that
that.
you don't understand what Facebook is releasing, right? And so we had to tell them that, which I think is one of the reasons Brenna doesn't know how many of her friends have Facebook accounts, is because one of them got in trouble because Brenna found out, right? So I'm a mean dad.
No, none
Right.
of my other friends know that
Right.
I found out that she had a Facebook account.
Okay.
So none of my friends, I know I already have I'm pretty sure I have a lot of friends that know Facebook but don't tell me.
That
But they're
makes
still
sense.
good friends.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Still
they're good
so dear.
friends. But the games are trying to get them to connect. And when they connect to Facebook, when they connect to these social networks, the games do not provide a very easy way, if any at all, for a parent to say, I don't want my child to talk to anybody. Like, I'm okay with Brenna playing Dragon City because I've looked
fun.
at what the app does, I've
fun.
looked at what it communicates with, and by the way, she doesn't have her email address on her iPad, so the address it advertised ties to me. And let's be blunt, you want to mess with somebody? Let's go, right?
Yeah, you don't wanna
think you're
mess
messing
with
with a
them.
kid and you come contact me, we're gonna have fun, right?
I'm gonna say, if anybody tries to do that, I'm gonna stay far away.
But, so I'm okay with it, but when I look at it, there's no way for me to say, I don't want these social network aspects. I don't want these random people able to connect to her Dragon City
oh yeah,
farm
I
or
forgot
whatever.
to say this.
Yeah.
Heyday, they automatically give you one computer friend, which is supposed to be Greg. It's his name. And I went on to Heyday and I looked at my friends to go to Greg's to see what he had for sale, and some kid was on my thing, and I can't get him off. He has to get himself off.
Yeah, I've even
And
looked to see if I can delete the connection and I can't.
You can't. It's Scrape Bite.
It doesn't matter
It's
what his
something
name
like
is,
that.
right.
It was crazy.
Yeah. So the app allowed somebody to connect with her. There was no approval process that we saw, that we noticed, right? Now, it could have been a
Yeah.
pop-up that she said okay to. I'll accept that. But
I
now
never
she has
saw
a
any
connection to
pop-up.
some person. And
There's
we
no
don't know.
pop-up that came up.
Right. But we don't, it may have missed it or something, right?
Okay.
So,
that's-
and
I
they
know it is.
push these apps. So let's flip to the next slide.
Okay. Now we're going to be talking about intercepting traffic.
It's She had the little Vanna White movements going on. Did you notice that?
I
By
just
the
turned
way,
it off.
You turned it off.
I turned it off by accident.
So I'm going to warn you right now that what we're about to talk about is going to make Brenna giggle like a little girl. Because we're going to talk about...
It's only because Christopher makes me laugh about
We're
it.
going to talk about interception tools. And one of the tools that we're going to talk about, matter of fact, the one we're going to speak about the most, see, she's already laughing, is called Burp Suite, right? And for some reason, my daughter finds it hilarious. And so when we talk about burp,
It's all Christopher's fault.
it's all Christopher's fault, her
Talks
nephew,
about
her
bodily
cousin.
functions.
So interception is one of the things we want to do. Because we don't have permission to have source code and access to these apps, and we're not advocating jailbreaking devices and stuff like that, we want to intercept. We want to get in between the device and the server it's talking to, the servers it's talking to. And at that point, we can actually start playing. And if we had permission, we could inject attacks, we could test things like that. But at the very least, a lot of things.
Yeah, we would probably do way more than 27 in a whole day.
Right.
Probably in a whole hour, because I'm knowing you, probably a lot more.
Pretty much. So let's flip to the next one and talk a little bit about what interception tools we've got. One of the things we want to just push out there is MobiSec. How many people here have heard of MobiSec? Right? Yeah. MobiSec is a live environment focused on testing, forensics, reverse engineering, and pen testing of mobile applications and devices. Yeah.
I didn't realize it now, but now it looks like a Pokemon ball. It does look like one.
I know, it looks like a Pokemon ball. And so it's a live environment. It is an OWASP project, so you can pull it down. Information about it is available at mobisec.professionallyevil.com. Right? Yeah, I like Professionally Evil. Yeah. And that site is live as of last week. This was a DARPA Cyber Fast Track project, one of the best things that came out of DARPA recently, in my opinion. Of course, I'm biased. We won 3 projects through it, so.
Yay!
Yeah. So let's flip to the next one.
Okay.
So Wireshark, and I play with Wireshark. Brenna didn't play with Wireshark very much. As a matter of fact, I don't think you used it at all, did you?
No, we used Burp.
Right. See, even when she says it, she giggles. Right? So Wireshark, we all know, is a network packet capture program. And what we do with it is we'll actually set up a wireless access point. The WAN port is plugged into a network tap. I like the throwing star taps out of Hack 5. I get the professional ones that are already put together. The reason is I travel a lot, and the idea of going through TSA with something shaped like a throwing star is probably not a good idea. So we get the ones that are square. That's the reason. And then we take the 2 ports out of that tap and we plug it into a machine running Wireshark, and we're able to capture all of the traffic back and forth. And because it's on an access point that is the only thing connected to it is the mobile device, we're not getting overwhelmed with traffic from the Xbox in the living room or the Wii in the living room or the treadmill that connects to the internet.
Et cetera,
Yes.
et cetera.
And so it works very well. And it's one thing to do, but one of the problems you have is if there's encrypted traffic, you're not going to see it. Well, I mean, you're going to see the traffic, you're just not going to know what it is, right? So let's flip to the next slide. We'll talk about Brenna's favorite tool.
I already know what it is without even looking at the name.
I know. So Burp is an interception proxy for web pen testing, right? That's its purpose. It captures HTTP and HTTPS traffic. And it is a free version and a commercial version. If you want to play with it, the free version works very, very well for what we're talking about tonight, except for the security results, right? In the scanner.
Yes.
All of that is done via the free version, right? Now, of course, we use the professional version because, well, we are professionals. And it's $300 a year per license. So we're not talking like an app scan price, right? It's worth it.
We're talking about something way over app scan.
Much better than app scan, right?
Yeah,
Like even my daughter doesn't like app scan, right? It says a lot,
I
doesn't
don't
it?
remember what app scan is.
It's okay, it's crap.
I don't remember what it is. I know we used it once. Haven't we used it once?
No.
Okay. I've heard of it, but
You have heard me yell about it.
yes,
Yeah.
I have heard you yell about it.
So let's flip to the next slide. So when we start doing this, we have to set up interception. We've already talked about with the sniffer how we capture the traffic. We have to be on the same network as the device, or like I described with the wireless access point coming in. If you're really interested in setting up the wireless access point, at blog.securideas.com, James Jardine wrote up step-by-step instructions on how to use that, and some of the gotchas you have, like with a Macintosh, when you're capturing from two network interfaces, you actually have to disable the network interfaces so that they're off, yet you'll be able to see the traffic coming in. That prevents the Mac from trying to send traffic out those interfaces and giving you information you don't need. Like I said, James wrote out a great blog post about it. I'm still upset because I wanted to write the blog post. I mentioned it to him, and he wrote it the next day. It was like, "Rrr."
I like blogging.
I know you do. Yeah, Brenna has a blog now, and no, I'm not sharing the address. For interception tools, right, HTTP and HTTPS is where we got to play, because that's what most of these apps are talking over. And HTTPS can cause issues for us, because like I said, the sniffers aren't going to see it. And the interception, they man in the middle the connection. And so our device has to trust the certificate, the CA, that interception proxy is using, right? Because if it doesn't, in some apps, they'll pop up, they'll work anyways. Others will pop up a warning and say, hey, I don't trust this, is this okay? But most apps, because of the way that iOS and Android provide HTTPS connections, won't even prompt, they'll just fail the connection, right? So you want to flip?
You want to see?
Okay, so, and this is Burp. So, Brenna, if you can show them down the side here, where we had the list of all the target sites that we were seeing, right? See this? This is where we saw all of the sites, and you'll notice that some of them are black and some of them are gray. Gray meant that one of the responses had a link to that domain, but we didn't visit it, right? I will also point out that the example we're giving here is SME Storage, which is not a kids app, but it's an app that I threatened the developer I would use him in every single example I ever gave, because according to him, he uses base64 encryption.
OMG.
Yeah, exactly, OMG, right? And so every conversation I have about mobile apps, I put his app in the screenshot. I told him I would, he didn't believe me.
But now he should.
He should,
He should,
exactly.
yeah. Whenever you say something, you mean it. Yeah, you do.
Thanks, babe.
I know, yeah.
So here is the tool that we're using, and as you can see, down the side we have the sites, and then, right, Brenna, down up at the top, you've got the list of that particular domain, see? And then you have the request and the response in the big square on the one side, right? And
Which is
it's
basically
two
at the
different
bottom.
tabs. I'm sorry?
Right there at the bottom.
Exactly.
Here, I'll point it
You want
out.
to show it?
I just showed it, so I just wanted to do it again.
I knew you did. She loves the laser pointers. She is a cat. But, so if you can flip to the next slide.
Okay.
There you go. Thanks. Now, when you're intercepting with Burp, it does require a couple extra steps. One, Burp by default listens to localhost, right? Listens to the loopback. So for the device to be able to connect to it, if you're not using an emulator running on the same box,
Just sit it on it.
it's okay. You have to tell it to listen on all interfaces or a specific interface, and you also have to set up the CA, the bottom window
This
is
one?
the one, yep. And that's where we
CA.
generate the CA. We tell it to generate a CA cert for every single host it sees. To get your device to trust it, if it's an Android device, you have to root the device and pull the CA cert and install it through a variety of scripts. With an iOS device, you browse through Burp to http://burp/cert. And it will pop, you have to laugh every time.
Yes.
And it pops up a window that says, this is a CA cert, do you want to install it? Pulls up a new window, it installs the cert, it trusts the cert, and from that moment on, unless the app is written to verify that the certificate is the one that expected, it will work fine. Some apps are written, they write their own stack to talk HTTPS, and they actually look for a specific cert. That I will tell you that in all of the mobile apps I've tested, I have found one that does that, right? And it was a very weird app to do it. Wasn't sensitive at all. Let's jump. Okay.
I will try my
So
hardest.
what are we going to talk about next?
Now we're going to talk about the results we got.
Right.
Boom.
So the first one is, I'm sure you all expected it, right?
As expected.
Lots and lots of traffic, right? Brenna, That one app, do you remember the one that talked to the most advertisers?
Wasn't that Movistar Planet?
Yep, and how many
It was-
advertisers was it? Wasn't it like 25?
It was probably like 30, way somewhere up in the higher, way
Right.
over 20.
Yeah. So 30 different advertiser servers were communicated from one app, right? That's the Movistar Planet one. And we
That was crazy.
It was. And we saw lots of tracking, lots of information going out. They were sending out, like we talked about, both to the device and from the device. We were sending out email addresses, UDID, device identifiers, information about your geolocation, all this kind of stuff coming out of that phone. And I don't know about you, but I'm a little bothered by people knowing where my 11-year-old daughter is with her iPhone.
It was so crazy that everybody in the room, except for him, had their mouths wide open. We were all like,
Yeah.
For real?
Everybody she's talking about is we had some of her friends over and we decided, what the heck, let's show them.
yes.
And we freaked out a whole bunch of little kids.
well, Jen and I are 11, so we're not that.
Oh, I'm sorry. The two of them were 11, so they're not that little. I would like to point out that my 11-year-old daughter, her 11-year-old friend, my 7-year-old daughter, her 8-year-old friend, and their 5-year-old brother.
No,
all-
7. He's 7.
He's 7?
He's Sarah's
I always
age.
forget.
He's still
He's
little,
really, really
so-
little, and I always
yeah,
think he's
so
younger.
tiny.
All of them understood the ramification of the data coming out of that device better than the majority of managers I talk to when I present this data.
You know what?
The majority of developers I talk to.
He barely told us anything. He was like, look at all that traffic. We were all like, for real, that's as much coming out? He only said like 3 words, and we all were like, understood what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And he's a walking computer.
I will admit, though, that all of them have been hanging out at my house for years, and my house is a slightly different environment than most CEOs grew up
Yes,
in.
exactly.
Right? So we will point that out, right? And so we saw lots and lots of traffic. And then Brenna, flip to the next slide, because this one I think shows a lot, right?
Yeah.
This is why I said that we did not do any attacks. This is the passive scanner inside of Burp. This is only looking at the requests and responses and then evaluating them for potential security concerns. All red, yellow, orange, significant security concerns. And I want to be clear that I'm not outing any applications here and saying, evil, bad, ugly. I'm saying that these are the security concerns without testing. Imagine what we would have found if we had been allowed to have a little bit of fun, right? Imagine the problems. And when you tie this with the data that she explained was going out of that application, right? List some of that stuff again, just to be clear. Where the Movistar Planet.
Male,
Email?
if it was male or female, the age, their name, their email address, and stuff like that. And if any of you have really good eyes, even the ones that don't have the red circles around them still have exclamation marks, so none of them are clear of anything.
I would point out that we did delete sites that had informational findings. Where it was
Yes,
just
we-
like, hey, we see it. So there were a lot more up there, but most of them were informational. We condensed it so you saw anything that was medium or above.
Was this an iOS app that you
Some of them were iOS apps and some of them were Android apps, right? Are you looking at a particular one up there that's,
Well, I just noticed they have like both Mac and like Android and stuff like they have both addresses in there.
yeah.
I bet you
Yeah.
all are in maze now. I just saw all your faces,
Yeah.
especially some of you.
Now, if you have this many security issues running on the app and they're
That's-
storing all that data about kids,
Not that good.
Right.
Delete it right away.
pretty much.
Delete.
So you want to flip that to the end?
Yes.
So what are we going to talk about next?
Conclusions.
By the way, see how fast that connection is with that crayon? It's amazing, right? Oh, by the way, I do want to point out, the picture of the laptop that had the Iron Man sticker is hers, not mine.
I'm a big fan of Iron Man.
So, apps are becoming popular. Kids are playing them, adults are playing them, right? We need to protect this stuff. We need to watch what our kids are doing. We need to truly understand the stuff that's coming out of it. And I'm not telling you to stop using them. You still use it, right?
Yeah.
But
Not-
understand what it reveals.
Yeah, like, if it really has a lot of bad stuff in it, that means you shouldn't really play it. But if you guys still like playing it, then just remember just think about what's what information's going out, and think about what you don't want to go out, and if some of that stuff is going out, just understand that. I don't know how to word the end.
You worded it fine.
Yes.
You're doing good. Perfect. So that is what we talked about. If you flip to the last slide, right? Here is our contact information. I will point out the fact I did not give out Brenna's email address, but I did give out her domain, right? But it's not hard to figure out.
Yeah, totally isn't.
If you have any questions about what we were talking about? Okay. Yes, sir? I saw your hand up go up first, so I'm going to.